Hello, children. It's me, your girl. Cringy. I'm very cringy. I don't like how cringy I am sometimes, but I can't help it because I'm me, so that's nice. So this is the second part, because I was originally planning on making it one video, but that video would have been very long. So this is the second part of this mini-series. I don't know why I did quotations, because it technically is a mini-series. But anyway, it's a mini-series of all the times I've met Palaye, which has only been 6 times. That's why it's a mini-series. The first time is in the first video, so you can go watch that if you haven't watched it. The second time, though, was a couple months after. And it was at Vans Warped Tour, the Pomona date in 2018. And I went with my friend Sydney again, because I like taking my friend Sydney to concerts the most. Other than my Palaye friends. Now I usually just go with my Palaye friends to concerts, because I've known them for like a year now. This story isn't as good as the other one, because I didn't ask them for dating advice, sadly, this time. But me and Sydney got out of the car. We made a plan, because, you know, when you go to Warped Tour, like, you make a plan out of all the bands you want to see. Like, you make a plan, and you have to, like, make sure, like, who goes where, and, like, who fits into what time slots. Which, sadly, Palaye and Black Veil Brides were playing at the same time on, like, freaking separate sides of the Pomona ground. So that was fun. I caught the last 2 songs of Black Veil Brides because me and my other friend Danny ended up running all the way there to catch those songs and back. But that's at the end of the story. Pretty much me and Sydney got there, and the first time I went to Warped Tour was that day, so that was fun. So me and Sydney were just sitting, and we had like a printout of like all the bands and like their times and like the stages that they went on. And we were just chilling outside the bathrooms because, you know, we're the cool kids. We chill outside the bathrooms. And I kept on like mumbling to myself. I'm like, where the hell is Palaye Royale on this paper? And I could not find it. Like, I kid you not, could not find it. Until Sydney kept on smacking me, and I looked up and I was like, I found it. Like, right as I looked up, I found Palaye. And she's like, look, 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 look. And right as I found Palaye and looked up, guess who walked by? Sebastian. Motherfucking Danzig. In his fancy ass, like, flower black shirt. It's hard to explain. He wears weird clothes, but I stand. It's okay. He's a king. So we walked by, and I was like, oh, hi, Sebastian, because, you know, very casual. And he just waved and, like, nodded at us. We didn't get a picture of him or anything, but it was cool to see him before the show. And then we ended up seeing some other bands in between, taking a break. Then it got to the time of meeting Palaye. But before we met Palaye, let me tell you something. Before we met Palaye, I met up with some of my internet friends who I've never met before. So that was chill, and we were hanging out the whole day. Luckily, again, thanks Palaye, they weren't creepy old men. They were teenage girls, again. One day, I swear, it's gonna happen to me, and, like, there's gonna be, like, this weird Palaye stalker, and it's gonna be a creepy old man. Like, I just know it. I wouldn't be surprised if there already is one like that. I hope there's not, but the reality we live in is really fucked up, and there's people who do that. So, I got sidetracked again. Sydney didn't really like one of my friends. She didn't like Danny. So that was fine, because they already know they don't like each other. They might both be watching this. but who cares? It's in the past. So Sydney didn't really like hang out with us that day. She kind of like went off on her own, did her own thing, and then was kind of following us around, but that was cool. But then again, I see Sydney quite a lot. And that was my first time meeting my Palaye friends. So it got to the time of us meeting Palaye, and my other friends were already in line. They were like the first people in line. Well, me, Danny, and Sydney got there, and we started waiting in line. And mind you, it's in the middle, well, not the middle of summer, kind of like the beginning of summer, so it's very hot. And Palaye were under a tent. The fans weren't. There's only one tiny tree in the very corner that was giving us a little bit of shade. I remember it. It was like a fenced-off thing that we had to go through, and we had to walk like right behind the tent to get in there. And it was wrapped like all the way around the tent, the line to meet them, and like have them sign things. Still, it just, I hate heat. I'm very pale, like a vampire, so me and heat, sunburn. Which I did. I had eyeliner on that day, and my wing stuck on my face pretty much because I got so sunburned, and then I had waffle legs because I wore fishnets. Don't do that. Piece of advice for Warped Tour. Don't wear fishnets, because you'll end up getting waffle legs if you're pale like me. Off topic again, I'm sorry. I talk a lot. When I want to. Sounds about right. So we were in line, and Sydney decided she didn't want to meet them anymore. So she went off and literally waited with my dad, because her and my dad are close. Sydney's like my adopted sister. We're like sisters. We hang out a lot. So me and Danny were waiting in line, and I ended up getting really nervous. I almost threw up a couple times because I almost had a panic attack, but I didn't. So that's fun. And that day I was also on Royal television because they picked me up when I met them. I asked them if they could hold me, and they picked me up, and it was really funny because Remington ended up shaking, and I ended up making fun of him afterwards. I'm like, damn, Remy, you were shaking after holding me. And he kind of just gave me like that, shut the fuck up, you're a child, you don't know what you're talking about look, if you know what I mean. And then Emerson just turned the other way and started giggling, and it was really funny. And then Sebastian just, same thing, other side of him, started laughing. I had them sign something as well. I don't really remember what it was, because I've had them sign a lot of things. But I remember them signing something. And Danny went before me to meet them, so that was fun. I got some merchandise as well. Met up with Sydney afterwards in the shade. Met up with my other friends, who went off to meet water parks, by the way. And we went to meet water parks as well, and we got cut off. So that sucks. So we were kind of just stalking water parks from a distance, because we couldn't meet them. And back to me and my friends sitting down. We were sitting down in the shade, right? And then we see Emerson walking along, and me and Danny start freaking out. Sydney's like half asleep in the corner because she was really tired at that point. So we end up running up to Emerson because we didn't even realize that we actually screamed Emerson out loud. It was kind of just like we thought we said it in our heads, but we didn't. Both of us like simultaneously screamed, Emerson, oh my god, I love you. Well, like a little bit different, but that's what I said from what I remember. And Danny screamed something else about Emerson out loud. And he turned, and I felt bad because I knew he was probably busy, even though he was just walking around. I don't know what he was doing. I think he actually, at that time, just came back from, like, doing the meet and greet at the art part of Warped Tour where his art was. So we walked up and, like, talked to him for a while. We're kind of just chilling. And Sydney was still grumpy because she didn't like Danny, but Danny's, like, okay with Sydney. But, yeah, so we met Emerson. And fast forward to their actual concert. We were, like, one row behind barricade. Because our same friends who met water parks without us didn't tell us that they were getting there early, and they got barricade, and we were like, oh, okay, I see how it is. But we had a really good time watching Palaye dance around on stage, especially Sebastian with his chicken dance, as I call it. Kind of looks like a chicken, but he pulls it off though. So, in the next video, I will be explaining the third time that I ever met Palaye. So, stick around, kiddos. Bye. Love you.